G'day everybody and welcome back. Got a little bit of a problem with my ST3. Yeah, like it's probably not a big surprise these things happen. But I started to experience a non-starting issue. So the ST3 has latches the starter engaged for a set period of time. So when you go to start the bike, provided all the conditions are met, so we've got the clutch lever pulled in or it's in neutral, side stand not down, etc. It will the start button is an input into the ECU, and then the ECU sends an output to the starter solenoid, and it holds it on for a predetermined amount of time, so many seconds. So it's just press once and forget. It'll just wind over until it starts. And if it times out, it stops, and then you're supposed to wait 10 seconds or something and then try again. What I was experiencing was I took the bike to work and fitted a new chain and sprockets. I didn't bother taping that. That's something that, videoing that, that's something that I sort of consider a fairly routine job that anybody with a motorcycle and a chain drive should be able to handle. Be that as it may, when I went to leave, it wouldn't start. So you'd push the button and the starter would crank, and as soon as you let the button go, the starter would stop. In fact, it works like a momentary switch, so when you push it, it would do one crank and then stop, even if you held the start button in. So I figured that it was probably a low battery thing, that the ECU went, whoa, hang on, I got no battery. So I push started it down a hill, bump started fine, rode it home fine. But yes, it's and the next day I had the same problem. So I checked the battery and the battery voltage was down. So then I started to have a look at why the battery voltage might be down. And these are fairly rudimentary checks that again I wasn't going to film, but have now decided I'd better run through it. All right, so the bike's been stripped of windscreen, fairing, right-hand side fairing, mirrors, etc. You've got to do that to get to some of the components. But I've exposed the battery, and now I use a Snap-on Vantage Pro, but you can use any digital multimeter for this, with the exception of one function. And we'll run through that. All right, so we're going to go to our digital meter, and we'll go to, we've got volts DC as the first option, so we're going to choose that. Right, currently 0 volts. And we've got 1207, which isn't too bad. I mean, the bike will start at that, and the only reason it's got that is because I've been giving the battery a bit of love. Let's see if it will start. No. See, that's what I've been getting. And you watch the voltage drop. So when it goes to crank, it's drawing current, and it's the battery voltage isn't great, and it's just pulling down on it. So what I'll do is grab my lithium jump pack, try and hold everything with one hand, and start the bike again. So there you go. Now it wasn't charging, and the way you test that is you put your voltmeter on the battery and see what it's coming back as. And in my case, it was, you can see it counting down rather than counting up. So that indicates to me there's probably it's something in the charging system, obviously. Now there's a few components that we need to check. I've already found the problem and removed the offending component, so there's no point me showing you that it's not charging because it's not, the charging system's been disconnected. So we've got a few components in that charging system. We have a regulator rectifier, a fuse, and an alternator or stator, whatever you want to call it. So the alternators on these bikes put out, I think it's about 27 volts AC when they're running at 2000 RPM. So the way we test that, in case you haven't realised, I'm doing this in the carport at home because I can't get this bike into the backyard yet. I need to cut out a piece of a fence and put a wider gate in. Again, you can do this task with any digital multimeter. Just bear with me, I just need to go to volts volts AC. So volts AC, start the bike again. It's a pain in the arse, I tell you. So essentially, look, let's just cut to the chase. The regulator rectifiers failed. And when they fail, they can bloody very quickly take your stator out. So don't, like if you have a problem with your charging system and you suspect you might have a regulator rectifier fault, don't go riding it around. Okay, it's proving to be a bit challenging. So, these are your regulator rectifier plugs. The regulator rectifier lives up under the headlight. I've removed it, and the cable comes out here, and this connects there. So what we need to do is we need to probe two of the yellow wires. So we get about 19 volts there. Now this is at idle, not at 2000 RPM. It's just I've got too many hands going. 27 volts, I think it is, at 2000 RPM. But one of the main reasons why I use the Vantage Pro is it has a lab scope. So I can actually these back probe pins aren't brilliant for this. But at idle I can check the signal from the alternator and the amplitude, and I test it across all three phases. These are a three-phase alternator. It's just under 20 volts there. Same again. So I'm satisfied that. I don't have an issue with my alternator, thank God. What I would have seen was one of those phases with a different amplitude or not generating at all. And the same if you're doing this test at home and you've got an auto ranging AC volt, or even if it's not and you've got to choose your voltage range, you just need to go from pin to pin, and then pin to pin, and then pin to pin, and check each one of those wires against each other, and make sure that you're getting an even, constant AC voltage out of your alternator. And if you are, your alternator's fine, and it's your regulator rectifier, it's the rectification / regulator side of it that's failed. And that's what we're looking at here. And I've already removed it. It's the part number there. So we're happy that the alternator is fine. That leaves the regulator rectifier, so the regulating side of that has failed. I checked for parasitic loss when I was looking at it, and I wasn't getting any, so I don't know if it's internally fused, but something's happened to it, and it's failed. So what I'm going to do is replace it. The way you check whether your regulator rectifier is charging is you just simply put your volts DC onto your meter, volts DC across your battery, and start the bike up and give it a few revs, and it should be charging at 14 up to a maximum of 14.5 volts or 14.3 volts or something like that. And this thing wasn't getting any charge. So I need to replace it, and I've already removed it, as I said. I have located a second-hand one here in Tasmania. So there's an eBay store called the Ducati Shack, and he's based here in Tassie. And I contacted him this morning, and he's got one. So tomorrow morning I'm going out there to get one. So I'll give this battery a good soak overnight and on the charger, and let it get back up to full strength. And I will pop out to the Ducati Shack tomorrow morning. He's graciously agreed to let me do that. He's an eBay store, so that's not sort of normal, but he's been very accommodating. So yeah, eBay store, Ducati Shack. He's also on Facebook. Look him up if you're looking for any second-hand parts. They've got quite a range, so it's worth having a bit of a look. So that's it, just a quick one on the ST3 starting issue. Starter dropping out, and it was because low battery. And why was the battery low? Because it wasn't charging it. So we're to the bottom of it now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and I will catch you next time on Andy's Motorcycle Obsessions. Bye for now.